Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur javelin thrower. Welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want you to be part of the show. I want you to engage with me, be part of the conversation. So you can find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Cameo, and on almost anywhere, really. It's not hard to track me down. But you should always, as always, hit me up. Follow ColtSebastianTaylor.com for all my things I'm doing, as well as past episodes of this show. All right, my friends, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, Hyundai. The feud continues. For those who are just joining the show for their first time, just as a quick recap, bought a used Hyundai Tucson, and within less than 2 years later and under 20,000 miles later, I had to put in a brand new transmission. $4,000 because they do not cover used car transmissions, apparently. So I registered the complaint, and then they said, okay, well, we'll call you back. 6 weeks went by. I'm like, all right, well, I'll call back. According to them, they had called me 3 times and had emailed me twice. I have no records of those phone calls or voicemails, even though they assured me they called and left a voicemail. I got an email asking me how I felt their customer service was for a survey, which is a bold move on their part of providing absolutely zero customer service to me. So I called them again last week, and they were shocked that I had not talked to anybody. They're like, well, we according to our records, we called you 3 times. Did you? Did you call me 3 times? Kind of seems like you didn't. Seems like you didn't there. So, okay, we'll start a new case number, and you'll get a call in 7 to 10 days. Well, that was 7 days ago. And then last night driving my Hyundai Tucson, golly gee willikers, the engine light comes on. So, gonna take it to my mechanic next week and see what the deal is. Now, I'm going to assume that maybe this is just a sort of a false alarm. It's been very rainy, wet, and cold. The car had a little trouble starting the other day, but I think that was just, because of it. Had driven it for a week or two because, not going anywhere with the pandemic. And it had whoa. One, it's just stretching. It's just stretching. Maybe triggered an alarm. I'm going to hope for the best. However, a part of me is just dreading to find out now what is wrong with this car. And you know what, Hyundai? I find myself getting just increasingly disgusted with you. I am disgusted with Hyundai. I am not sure what kind of company they're running over there, but this has by far been the worst purchase I have ever made. I can't believe I was bamboozled into buying this car. And yes, I'm starting to now blame the dealership as well. I will blame Seidel Hyundai in Chillington, Pennsylvania, and the Hyundai folks themselves. Yes, you made the radio show. I am getting a little tired of this. This is getting to be a little ridiculous. Supposed to be an international car company. Supposed to be a car company that puts out quality products. Get their tweets all the time. I harass them. They actually did tweet me back once, but I am just getting increasingly frustrated and increasingly disgusted with the lack of customer service, the lack of quality, the lack of just it being a well-built car from Hyundai. So they've got, I don't know if it's 7 to 10 business days or 7 to 10 regular days, but it'll be 10 business days by next Friday, and I will give them a call before I come on the air here and see what the hell is going on. By then I'll have an idea what's wrong with the car, with the engine light also, so I'll give you an update on that as well. But, I can't stress this enough. If you're listening to me throughout the world, folks, if you're thinking about purchasing a car, new or used, you should just take a pass on Hyundai. I think it's time we all just took a pass on Hyundai, move on to some other car. I mean, I love Mini Coopers, holy moly. I'd love to have them be a sponsor, but I have officially had it with Hyundai, and if I didn't have a car loan on this damn car, I would chuck it into the river. That is how done I am with this Hyundai Tucson. So we'll see what happens. But just as a recap, Hyundai is a terrible car company. They have terrible customer service. Their dealers, you know what? The 100% of the Hyundais that bought from local dealers have given me problems. So that's just science. And I highly recommend you move elsewhere. So, Hyundai, if you're listening, and I'll send you the episode, I most certainly will. You may want to buckle down with your accountants here soon and figure out how to rectify this, because I'm not going anywhere, and this show isn't going anywhere, and at some point, it's going to be just a smidgen of a percentage, but that smidgen percentage keeps sort of ticking up there. Folks, I'm telling not to buy a Hyundai until you fix this. You have to fix this. Simple as that. Because if this isn't fixed by you, I'm just going to keep talking about it and complaining about it until I feel satisfied. And I may not feel completely satisfied until this car is no longer represented. I feel like this is not going to be the last problem. I feel like there's going to be more problems here. So that's the Hyundai update. Still terrible. And I'm just blown away. I honestly am blown away by the lack of customer service from Hyundai. Like, I've called twice. I'm clearly irritated. I'm telling you, I'm going to be blowing this all up into the public atmosphere because I got nothing better else to do. You'd think this gets flagged for like, you know what? We should talk to this guy. But I guess not. I guess they are such a backwards company that do not care about their customers that I am a fleeting thought. A fleeting thought at Hyundai HQ. Maybe, perhaps, I need to track down the CEO. Write the CEO a brief missive and say, hey, been shitting on your company for 4 months now because of lack of satisfaction. Tune in on Saturdays at AWSM Radio. Maybe they won't agree. Maybe they won't admit to any wrongdoings or anything like that. But maybe they'll magically sponsor my show, and then I'll be happy. Listen, I can be bought. I can be bought. I'm not gonna pretend I'm sitting over here with high-strung morals. The principle of the matter. No, it's mostly financial. All right, well, that is the Hyundai update. We now go from car troubles to wildlife troubles. This story comes actually not too far away from me. There was a bobcat sighting. Now, for those who don't know what bobcats are part of the cat family, but they're wild, large cats. And there's a lot of them here in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Actually, all over the United States, there are big populations of bobcats. Now, generally speaking, they are they don't bother people, but bobcat attacks can happen. I think a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, on a security camera, a bobcat attacked a woman, and the husband grabbed the bobcat, held it up in the air as the bobcat's swinging his arms, and the security camera caught all this and says, "Oh my God, it's a bobcat!" And he chucked the bobcat twirling in the air into the front lawn, as a cat, so laying on his feet, and then like it took off. And he was chasing the bobcat about getting his gun and shooting a bobcat. So they usually kill small animals. They're very dangerous for pets and cats and dogs and whatnot. So, but circle of life, the power of nature, they're out there. Well, at a West Scranton school had to be evacuated because there's a bobcat sighting, not on school properties, but inside the school. People saw a bobcat in the school, so they evacuated the West Scranton High School. And they called in animal control. To get this bobcat, and they captured it, and they looked at it, and they're like, "What? That's just a regular cat." Oh, that's not a bobcat. That's just a cat. Well, in all fairness, it is a very unique cat. It's not a very well-known cat. It's called a clouded jack. It's a clouded jack breed, and it is often commonly mistaken for a bobcat. It has a lot of the same markings a bobcat does. Ears are a little bit different, but the bobcat, not a bobcat. Unfortunately, the cat named Keshi had actually ran away 2 months ago in West Scranton and escaped through an open window, which is pretty scary. I mean, a lost pet, but this cat had been running around out there for about 4 months. The cat has a family and children of 4, and it kind of wandered into a third floor cafeteria. And people thought it was a bobcat, so they evacuated it. And the cat there's security footage of the cat just sort of walking around, sitting on tables and whatnot. But it moves somewhat similar to a bobcat. So they called the Game Commission, which here in Pennsylvania deals with wildlife. The Game Commission, like if you accidentally hit a deer and whatnot, and it's during deer season, they come out and tag it and they mark it. They hand out deer tags and bear tags, and they basically handle the wildlife stuff in Pennsylvania. Like if a bear wanders into a town and starts knocking over garbage cans, they can't figure out how to get out of town. Game Commission comes in, tranquilizes it, and releases it back into the wild. Well, Game Commission came in, caught the cat, and go, this ain't a bobcat. This is a regular cat. This is a regular cat. And so it's just really, really funny. So they caught the cat and said, no, this is a regular cat. In fact, it was chipped. It was chipped, so they were able to find out whose cat it was. And the Game Commission, they said, no, listen, this was the right thing to do. This does look a lot like a bobcat. Like this is when you call us when ooh, I'm not too sure about that cat. We should call. This is perfectly a reasonable thing to call because this really does look like a bobcat. So they got the cat back to its owners. Just to be on the safe side, they put out some traps around the school just in case there were some loose animals in there, but they weren't able to find anything. So they think it was just a case of mistaken identity. But up there in that part of Pennsylvania, there is a large population of bobcats. There are a large population bobcats out there. So it would not surprise them to find a bobcat in this area. But the cat, it's okay, a little dehydrated, hungry. Apparently was probably hanging out in that area for a few weeks before it was finally found, and it was finally reunited with its family. So a very happy ending to this mistaken bobcat identity. We now go to one fake big cat sighting to a real cat sighting. As you may remember, I have been casually following the Houston Tiger story. I don't know why I'm so intrigued by this, but I have an update, and actually I follow a great reporter out of Houston. Her name is Brandy Smith from KHOU. On Twitter, she's Brandy KHOU, Brandy with an I, KHOU on Twitter. And great report. I mean, I don't live in Houston, but I think I followed her during the hurricane coverage, and she's a very good reporter, and so I like to send her jokes once in a while. She tweeted this. I told her I'd give her a shout out because I didn't realize this was going on. But apparently, the Tiger guy, the Victor Cuevas, posted on Instagram the other day saying that he wants to buy property, and so he can be reunited with the Tiger. He calls the Tiger quote, my best friend, my teammate, my workout buddy, my dance partner, my happiness, and quote, his pride and joy. So apparently he was weeks away from buying a 22-acre property outside of Houston where he would live with the Tiger. As you may remember, the Tiger escaped from him, was wandering around a Houston neighborhood, and a guy with a gun confronted him, tried to ward him off from neighbors. Then Victor showed up, grabbed the Tiger, threw him in a van, and then evaded police to run away. And that's why he is charged with that, and he is on bond. But he hopes to explain this away and then be reunited with his Tiger, and then buy a 22-acre property outside of Houston to live with the Tiger. He posted a few pictures of him snuggling with the Tiger. I mean, it looks like he definitely enjoys the Tiger. Oh, I'm sorry. No, man. He put the Tiger in his Jeep Cherokee and sped away. He said he would die for the Tiger. To quote him, he says from the Instagram post, I couldn't fathom losing him, so I would put myself between him and the bullet, knowing I would die for this little cat who I call my best friend. From that day, a piece of my heart was shot. So, and just as a reminder, he is currently out on bail from this. His bond, however, is revoked from an unrelated 2017 murder charge. So he's currently charged for murder from 2017. Which, you know what, maybe I might poke around a bit more. Now I'm just curious, like, what happened there? And why is he... if he was charged with murder in 2017, exactly what part of his bond allows him to, have a Tiger? But that's an update there. He hopes to be reunited with the Tiger and then, I guess, beat the murder charge. I guess that's the big plan. That's the 5-year plan there. Once again, in Texas, not illegal to own a Tiger. However, you must abide by certain rules and regulations by the federal government. But the municipality of Houston says, you know what? No tigers. No tigers in Houston. So I'm sure he may face a misdemeanor about that down the road. But that is your Houston Tiger update. Once again, a big shout out to my pal Brandy Smith, Brandy with an I, Khou, on Twitter. She's my Twitter pal, and thank you for retweeting that. And I just caught it, I grabbed it, and I gotta tell my folks about this Tiger update. Speaking of updates, it's more of a reminder, but let me just update you once again that if you are not here on AWSM Radio Fridays at 9, Sundays at 10, then you are missing out on the best in-house DJ we have here at AWSM Radio. My pal DC with the show DC Live in Effect. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from his Tiger-free South Florida bunker, week in and week out. He's here twice a week. You can't miss it. It's a great show. So Fridays at 9, Sundays at 10, DC Live in Effect, right here, right in this very station that you're listening to right now, online, on your phone. AWSM Radio, catch DC Live in Effect. Moving along, folks, have you ever mistakenly grabbed something that wasn't yours, or thought something was yours but wasn't? Picked up the wrong set of keys, accidentally took someone's pencil. Let's see here. Picked up the wrong glass of drinky drink at a party. I'm saying it happens to the best of us, including the U.S. military. in Bulgaria. They accidentally stormed an olive oil factory while training. U.S. troops, along with Bulgarian troops, were training on how to storm buildings and secure them and take bunkers. However, they scaled the wrong wall, went off the training area, and stormed into a olive oil factory, and basically spent 30 minutes clearing it and securing it, scaring everyone in the factory. As one would imagine, no one in there spoke English, and none of the soldiers spoke Bulgarian, so they kind of just went in there, and everyone kind of went to the ground and put their hands up, and they did not know what was going on. No one was hurt. I don't know if they had, like, live weapons, like had like ammunition in there and whatnot. But they accidentally stormed and invaded an olive oil factory accidentally. They spent about 30 minutes there, secured the building, and then left. The security footage there shows everyone being very confused of what exactly was going on. Now, obviously, this was a bit of a problem, caused a bit of an incident. They're seeing what exactly, they might, press charges, which probably won't. They'll probably get a check for some money. That's usually how that works, a day's worth of work being disrupted, and whatnot. But they're investigating, like, what went wrong here where they went into the wrong building to storm it. They've apologized for it, and they sent a representative over to talk to the building owner to, sort out, filed a formal complaint. I'm sure whoever was in charge of said exercise will get demoted or, reprimanded and whatnot. But it was a mistake. It was a mistake, and they're fully investigating it. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but always get a little chuckle when they accidentally do that. It reminds me, a few years ago, Switzerland accidentally invaded another country. Between Switzerland and Austria, there's a tiny little country called Liechtenstein. It's the smallest, one of the smallest countries in the world. Technically, Vatican City is the smallest, but Liechtenstein is one of the smallest countries in the world, a remnant of the Holy Roman Empire that dissolved in 1807. This country, so tiny, managed to survive all these years. Big banking center. But anyways, tiny. You can drive across the entire country in probably an hour. And Switzerland is responsible for the defense of Liechtenstein. Well, anyways, the Swiss army was doing maneuvers near the border, and they realized, like, we've actually been in Liechtenstein for 3 hours. We accidentally invaded Liechtenstein. We should leave. Left, and Liechtenstein is not a heavily populated area. There's a lot of forest there. Beautiful country. Love to visit one day. No one in Liechtenstein noticed. Like, you invaded us. Okay. Well, did you leave? All right. Well, fantastic. Just turn the light off when you leave. So it does happen. Obviously, in some parts of the world, that's a bit more serious than others. But, I always find that to be mildly entertaining. And as you will recall, was a border incident between Belgium and France where a farmer moved a border marker 3 feet so he could get his tractor through and never put it back. So these minor little things do happen. Important to sort them out as quickly as possible so nothing gets out of hand. But, if you're a Bulgarian olive oil maker, better watch yourself, or at least put up a sign that says, please do not storm our building, we're working, probably in English, maybe Bulgarian and English. But that happened, and they will likely sort it out. We stay overseas and go to Israel, where Benjamin Netanyahu is likely to end his term as prime minister for 12 years in Israel, after their opponents banded together to form a new majority in the government, the Knesset. I don't know how to say it. But he's been prime minister for 12 years. The last 2 years, Israel has had 4 elections, 4 general elections in 2 years. Political gridlock over there. There are 120 seats in the government, and you need 61, obviously, to have a majority. And the last 3 elections, no party has gotten more than 30 seats. So Benjamin Netanyahu's party has formed a coalition a few times, but they have fallen apart over and over again, and the opponents couldn't quite band together to get a larger one. He only has 30 seats, so, he needs to cobble together another 31 seats to have a majority. And he worked with a bunch of small parties because he's a conservative. He leans a bit to the right, so he worked with a bunch of these far-right parties. But everyone over there apparently has had enough of him. So a multi-party coalition with eight, count them, 8 political parties, including for the first time Arab political parties. There's a few Arab political parties in Israel, Arab Israeli citizens who vote for those parties, have all joined together and stitched together a 61 seat majority, ending Prime Minister Netanyahu's PM-ship over there, and there'll be a new prime minister there. Now, 61 seats, one more than you need for a majority. Okay, 8 political parties. That's a fragile coalition. It's hard to keep 8 folks on the same page at the same time. So it's not official yet. Might be official by now. I did not check before I popped on here today. But that's the trend it is going. And hopefully there'll be some stability so they don't have another election. Doing 5 elections in 2.5 years, that's just a lot of elections. That's a lot of elections right there. But it looks like a very, very good chance that he might be done as prime minister. He's facing a few charges for corruption over there, so a lot going on over there. Fun fact about Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, fun fact. He went to school in the United States when he was a youngin', before my time. But he went to school in the United States. He went to school in the United States, in my state, Pennsylvania. He went to school about 20 miles where I live, hanging out in the suburbs of Philadelphia, growing up. Well, not growing up, but this is where he went. He went to school for school. So a little bit of trivia there for you. But anyways, big news of Israel. It looks like the decade-plus rule of Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm having a hell of a time saying his name today. I hope he doesn't come back to Philadelphia and punch me. His reign as prime minister is likely to come to end very, very soon. We travel further east to Sri Lanka, where a major environmental disaster is unfolding. There were a ship, after being on fire for 13 days, is causing the worst maritime environmental disaster in Sri Lanka's history. It was a large container ship called the MV Express Pearl, launched just February, so like a brand new ship. It's about over 600 feet long and carries 2,700 of those containers, and it caught on fire. And they were unable to put out the fire because of winds and monsoon rains, and the chemicals they had on there probably weren't. Water's not the best thing to put them out with. Probably spread the fire as well. It had 1,400 containers on there. 81 were deemed dangerous cargo. The big problem they have there is they had 25 tons of nitric acid, and 28 containers had plastic pellets that were considered to be environmentally hazardous. There was lubricants, food, cosmetics, lead, and a few vehicles on there. So the problem started is that the container containing nitric acid started to leak all over the place. And nitric acid is a little flammable. It's very dangerous stuff. And they are trying to offload it in Qatar and India, but they refused to let the ship in since it was leaking dangerous fluids. So it caught on fire outside of Sri Lanka, and they tried their best to put out the fire, but they couldn't. So tugboats and firefighting ships from the port of Colombo went out there to try to put it out along with the Sri Lankan Navy, but they couldn't. And the ship pretty much burnt down. It pretty much burnt down. And the problem is that all of this nitric acid and raw materials like the plastic pebbles, the plastic pellets, they're just all over the place. They were thrown up in the air by the fire, and now they said some beaches it was just snowing burnt plastic. So it's a big, big problem out there. They've called in Australia to give an assessment of what exactly they need to do here. They have a little bit more experience with this sort of stuff. But it is a big, big mess. The ship itself is a complete loss. It pretty much burnt down to the water level. There is, the before and after shot of it, the ship looks like it has been wrecked and left there for about 10 years. You see those old shipwrecks that are slowly decaying and falling apart. It is a wrecked ship. There's no salvaging the ship whatsoever. Burnt to a crisp. But this is a big, big problem in Sri Lanka. Hopefully they got things under control over there. They're getting lots of help, international help, to sort of rein in the damage being caused here. But real shame that this happened, and there'll probably be a big investigation. I guess the only bright spot is that the crew of the ship was all evacuated, so no one died during the fire. The only bright spot in this. But hopefully they will be able to contain the damage and hopefully clean that up as quick as possible. But very rare to see a ship that big catch on fire and sink. It's not a usual occurrence. So that's why it caught my eye. So good luck to my friends there in Sri Lanka. Hope you get this under control. I'll keep tabs on this as best as I can. If I can, for an interesting update, I will bring it to you here on the show. Changing gears, United Airlines plans supersonic flights by 2029. So flights that travel faster than the speed of sound. Now, this used to be a thing. The last supersonic flight was in 2003, the Concorde, which operated by France and the United Kingdom's British Airways, flew between Europe and basically New York for a number of years, but they were very costly. There was also a plane crash with one, and they retired the last Concorde in 2003. Well, United Airlines signed a deal to buy 15 supersonic jets and plans to have them carrying passengers by 2029. Make a trip from New York to London in 3.5 hours as opposed to the 5, 6, 7 hours it takes now. Obviously, these seats will be super expensive. These are premium seats. So this is basically a plane full of first class seats, if not more. But they think there is a market for it. Now, their sort of hook on this is that they want the plane to be carbon neutral. So it plans to use 100% sustainable aviation fuel. So it'll be the first supersonic aircraft with net zero carbon flights, apparently. But the thing about supersonic planes is like, oh boy, we have the technology of planes going faster than the speed of sound. Why don't we use them everywhere? Well, first, very expensive to do. And also, if you go faster than the speed of sound, it causes a sonic boom. And, depending on how high you are in the sky, that boom can really cause a little damage on the ground. So supersonic planes like that cannot fly across populated areas. You can't have a supersonic flight across the United States. They do it every once in a while, but you'll hear a light boom and that's it. But if every plane you saw in the sky was going at, Mach 1.7, there would be booms throughout the day of these planes doing this. Now, scientists are trying to work on a way where, a plane or something can go faster than the speed of sound but not cause a sonic boom. They don't quite have that sorted out yet. So these are basically, ocean travels. From New York to Europe, you go, Mach 1.7 across the ocean. Then as you get close to land, you slow down and go under Mach 1, and then you would land. They would want to do flights from, United is hoping to do flights from New Jersey to London in 3.5 hours. Newark to Frankfurt in 4 hours. and San Francisco to Tokyo in just 6 hours. Supersonic flight across the Pacific Ocean, six hours. Now, experts are a little unsure whether this is going to be like a thing. Like, will they be able to sell enough seats on these planes to make them profitable? But the fact that they're going to be quote unquote zero carbon flights, that's going to get a lot of attention, a lot of advertising. So the flights may not make a ton of money, but it may produce a ton of free advertising. We'll see. Would I take a supersonic flight across the ocean? Sure. Would I pay for one? No, I wouldn't. I'm not made of money. No, I would not do that. It sounds very expensive, But look for that. The high end listeners to the show, you may be able to get to London or Tokyo in half the time come 2029. Ooh, that's a why doesn't United hire me? I'd be great in those in-flight movies. I'm so clever and handsome and clever. I mean, I think everyone would follow the safety rules. I think they would. Well, actually, there's actually one person who I think would beat me out in a United safety video audition tape. It'd be my friend Rox, the beautiful Rox. And she's the host of the Rock Sessions, which is our drive time show here. And she is going to make sure your table is in the upright position and your seatbelts are fastened as she makes your evening commute home fun. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. She has the hottest music on the charts. Some surprises in between and always has something fun to say. And she will make it Rock's style. So catch it. The Rock Sessions, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. Finally this week, some entertainment news. Actor Jimmy Smits is receiving a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. The Emmy-winning actor finally received a star this week. He was introduced by his fellow actor Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the producer of The Heights, which is his latest film. His star is going to be next to legend Gregory Peck, actually. Late great Gregory Peck, which Smits starred with in the 1989 film Old Gringo. He was in L.A. Law, NYPD Blue. He was all in The West Wing. And his other television credits include How to Get Away with Murder, Sons of Anarchy, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Dexter. For your sci-fi fans out there. He also played Senator Bail Organa, the adoptive father of Princess Leia, who made appearances in the prequels and also in Rogue One, but was tragically killed on Alderaan during the firing of the first Death Star, for all you Star Wars fans out there. But great actor. I am a big fan of Jimmy Smits. He is, I think, sorely underrated. But good for him for getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And you should really check out his work in The West Wing. Brooklyn Nine-Nine guest stars are really good. And he also did a great job in L.A. Law and NYPD Blue. Those being in the 90s and whatnot. Late 80s and early 90s. So very versatile, great actor, good comedic timing. So congratulations to Jimmy Smits for his Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Well, my friends, as I await my very own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it'll come one of these days. It has unfortunately come to the time for me to wrap up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me here today on AWSM Radio. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Instagram, and even on Cameo at Colt S. Taylor. So feel free to engage with me on there. If you think there's a story I missed, or you want me to cover something, or you just want to gossip with me, I'm always available. And of course, to catch up with all things Colt Sebastian Taylor, and even to listen to past shows your weekend did not allow you to listen, go to ColtSebastianTaylor.com and bookmark it, save it, check it out every day. Maybe you're Jimmy Smits, you missed the show, you want to come and hear me plug your Hollywood star, so we can become best friends later. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. Well then, my friends, until next time, I am, of course, your friend, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.